We're in way media.
Hello, twisted humans. Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked. Hello and welcome to episode 164 of your favorite podcast. Today, I will be finishing up our short series on the topic chosen by you listeners, glitches in the Matrix. As someone who doesn't necessarily buy into the simulation theory, I do still believe that there are unexplainable things that happen in this life which could be considered a glitch. So today's story is about a woman whose life changed overnight, like she woke up in a glitched version of her reality.
What?
But first, do we have fun facts?
I do have a fun fact for you. My fun fact is about summer, since we are in the midst of summer and I am about to go and be toasty warm in a field listening to country music. My fun fact is that in 1816, there was no summer. No summer at all.
What?
There was a volcanic eruption of Mount Tabora in Indonesia, and it blocked out the atmosphere with dust, ash, and sulfur oxide. This event caused a significant drop in global temperature, resulting in a winter-like state for almost an entire year. So there was no summer.
That's weird.
Wild, right? And also like terrifying, especially like the 1800s of it all. It's not like there was news on TV being like, this just in, a volcanic explosion is causing a winter-like state. People are like, the world is ending.
Yeah.
Like just no explanation for them whatsoever. Must have been a miracle when that sun came back out.
I cannot imagine.
No, I like the sun. I need sunshine. What is your fun fact?
My fun fact is about bees.
Ooh.
Sort of. The term honeymoon comes from the tradition of newlyweds consuming honey for fertility after their wedding.
I did not know that.
It's a bees and honey are like a symbol of fertility.
Yes.
So once upon a time, people used to eat honey after their wedding for luck in the fertility department. And that's where the word honeymoon came from.
I thought you were legitimately going to tell me that bees went on like a little romantic trip together or something. I was about to be like, what is this reality? Speaking of glitches in the Matrix, but that's a super fun fact. Maybe I gotta consume more honey.
There you go. Okie dokie, what are you drinking?
I did have a slushy like summer inspired sangria for this week's episode that we originally intended to record on Thursday. It's now Saturday, but there was its own glitch in the Matrix, and the OneDrive where we keep all our notes wasn't working. So it's kind of hard to tell you a story without notes. That said, I only had enough ingredients to make one batch of it, so I drank it on Thursday. But it was tasty. And I'm going to tell you what's in it. You are going to need 3 to 4 frozen clementine oranges, 2 cups of frozen mixed berries, 2 cups of rosé wine of choice, 2 tablespoons of honey, and you are going to blend that with a tiny bit of orange juice and serve it in your favorite glass with a reusable straw and stay nice and cool. If you're feeling fancy, you can also add in an orange brandy, or if you want to skip the alcohol altogether, you can just double up on the juice and skip the wine and brandy. So it was quite tasty. It was basically like a smoothie minus any protein powder or any yogurt or anything like that. And I added wine and I was all right with it.
Sounds delicious.
It was. It was nice and cool because it was hot on Thursday. But currently I am drinking a wild berry acai smash. And normally I would not be drinking at 11:20 in the morning on a Saturday, but because it has gone country today and I want to save money on some drinks, I'm starting early. It all goes to
Make
a good
sure
cause. But
make sure you drink water too.
I've had 3 glasses
It
of
is
water already this morning
fucking hot.
to my 1 beverage. And then I will have more
All right.
before I go.
Good.
Thanks, Mama. She's wearing a Mama Bear
Listen,
shirt today.
I am. Also, you told me on Thursday that you thought you had heat exhaustion from just
The
being at your
weekend
house.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna be outside all day. Be careful drinking.
Hydrate yourself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. We are going to get into this story in just a second, but first, we're going to hear a promo from the Suspended Sentence podcast. In 2008, Jesus fucking Christ.
Flick text message away.
Seriously, it's so annoying.
It was the face that sent me that. Children.
All right. In 2008, Lorena Garcia Gordo, 42, was living a seemingly normal life in Spain. She had a good relationship with her parents and her sister. She had a good job in an office where she had been working and progressing for nearly 20 years. She had a car, lived alone in her apartment. She had just 6 months ago ended a relationship with her boyfriend of 7 years, but she had met a new guy named Augustin, and things were going well with him. They had been dating for 4 months now, and she had even met his young adult son. Things were good for her until she went to sleep on July 16th, 2008. When Lorena woke up the next day, everything felt weird. It started with her bed sheets. She was pretty sure they weren't the same ones she had on her bed when she fell asleep.
That's freaky.
Right? They were a completely different color from any that she even remembered owning. Then, when she left out of her apartment complex and went down to her car was parked in a different spot than she always parked it.
Weird.
Weird, but fine. She drove on to work. When she arrived at work, she was greeted by name by 2 people who were complete strangers to her, but they seemed so confident that they knew who she was. Lorena walked to her office and was surprised to find that there was someone else's name on her desk. She backed out of her office and walked around a bit, thinking maybe she got off the elevator at the wrong floor, but she hadn't. She started thinking maybe she'd been fired and blocked it all out, so she went to check the directory. She found her name. She did still work there, but it was in a completely different part of the building, under a manager that she did not know.
What? It's like a movie.
I know, right? Lorena decided that she wasn't feeling well enough to work, so she contacted that manager she didn't even really know and requested the day off to try to get her mind right. And then she went to the doctor. She tried to explain what was going on, how she wasn't remembering things correctly, how things were different than they were just yesterday. The doctors ran some tests, even checking for drugs or alcohol in her system, but they couldn't find anything wrong. Lorena was completely physically healthy. Now she was starting to think that she was the wrong person, like body snatched, and she was freaking out a bit. So she checked all her own information, her driver's license, her birth certificate, her bank statements, but everything seemed normal and right. She could remember everything about herself, just the memories of the world around her were different. Lorena dialed her boyfriend Augustin's number, wanting to feel comforted in her time of confusion. But the person who answered the phone was not Augustin and had no idea who he was. The person now living in what Lorena remembered was Augustin's house was also not Augustin. And when she went online to check her messages between him and her, the emails had disappeared. And she couldn't find
What?
him or his son anywhere online.
This is like Meet Me on the Bridge. When
I
she wakes up in the
know.
past and all of the
I
stuff that had
know.
happened in her other lifetime around that time hadn't happened. So she was all confused. Oh, fuck. This is
Yes.
crazy. Very serendipitous and also
I
very
know.
sad because she was like happy. She had a new boyfriend.
Yeah.
Ugh, this is sad.
It turned out she later realized that she had apparently never ended her relationship with her long-term boyfriend 6 months ago. They were still
Lord.
together as far as anyone but Lorena knew. Lorena eventually went as far as hiring a private investigator to find Augustin to prove to herself that he existed. But even a private investigator could not find a single trace of Augustin or his son. Fucking weird. Even Lorena's relationship with her family was slightly different now. She could tell something was slightly off about her. I'm sorry, they could tell something was slightly off about her, and she knew that they were different. She asked her sister about how her shoulder surgery was healing, but her sister and the rest of the family were confused and told her there was never any surgeries in their lives. Lorena started scouring the internet, trying to find out what might be wrong with her, why she had memories that didn't seem to correlate with her reality, but she couldn't find answers. She even made an appointment with a psychiatrist when her family thought that she might be slowly going mad. But even these doctors couldn't find any mental health diagnosis that would fit what she was experiencing. They told her it must just be stress related. But the way that Lorena felt, the things she remembered about her life that were just erased, and the things that were there in her life that never were before, she knew this was not stress related. With nowhere else to turn, Lorena found an online forum to post about what was happening to her and to ask if anyone else had experienced anything similar. That is how her story first blew up in 2008. And since then, many others have started to share their stories of feeling like they've glitched or found themselves in an alternate universe or parallel dimension. Sadly, the last update I could find about Lorena was that she continued to find strange things about her life, like clothes and other belongings that she never remembered buying, and people she never remembered meeting. Allegedly, she is still living her now weird to her life, and she has come to believe that this world she lives in is run by dark forces and that she is stuck here and depressed.
Oh.
But as I said, as long as she may feel, she is not completely alone in her experience. I was listening to Sinisterhood's Freaky Friday episode the other day when they read a story from a listener about her husband passing away. The writer went on to explain in great detail how heartbroken she was, how difficult it was to go back to work, how mundane her life had become, and how she touched her husband's side of the bed every night and every morning in remembrance of him.
Oh,
And
that's
then
sad.
how, on the anniversary of his death, she went to sleep with him on her mind and then woke up to him lying there beside her in real life, not a ghost. He had never died at all. It was a dream where she experienced an entire year without her husband.
What?
Yeah. And then I found similar stories on Reddit.
Good God. It's like the
So,
ultimate gaslighting. It's just like the world is gaslighting you. Oh my God.
one user named Ironic Reply described a dream he had when he was 17 years old. He went to sleep after a long day at school and thought he woke up and just continued living life. He graduated. He kept working at the same job he had always worked at, eventually becoming manager at the place. He had the same friends. They all aged with him. He had the same hobbies. He met a girl that he fell madly in love with, married, and had a daughter with. They got a house and lived a great life together. At the age of 40, his wife went into labor with their second child, a son. and she had complications during the birth of the son. Both his wife and his son died in labor.
Oh.
And in that moment, he felt immense heartbreak and thought, this cannot be happening. This cannot be real life. And then he woke up, still 17 years old. It wasn't real life. None of it had ever actually happened. Here's another story from Reddit. This is from Sovereign Reigns. Okay. It says, I'm a 22-year-old American male. Currently, I serve in the Marine Corps. In April of 2019, I had what can only be described as a hyper-realistic dream. So much so that it feels more like a legitimate memory than a dream. It starts off with me waking up the following day and going about my daily routine. Slowly but surely, day after day passes. Eventually, I get out and I go to college. I propose to my girlfriend of 8 years and get married the following year. 9 months later, I have a son, Tim, one of the happiest times of my life. During this time, President Trump gets reelected. I'm going to school and working as a Lyft driver. With my VA benefits, things are at least moderately comfortable. My now wife works a small part-time job as well. About 2 years later, we're expecting again, this time twins. My children, John and Grace, are born. By the time I'm finishing up my degree with only 1 semester left, we eventually save up enough to get out of our 2-bedroom apartment and make a down payment on a nice 4-bedroom house using the VA home loan. I finish school and become a pastor. Day after day goes by. Eventually, Tim graduates high school and enlisted in the Marine Corps like I did. When he graduates boot camp, I admittedly tear up. John graduates with honors and gets accepted into a mechanic trade school. Grace, against what her mother and I advise, gets married immediately after graduation. Being good parents, we accept her decision and I walk her down the aisle on her wedding day. Months later, I become a granddad. Holding my grandson for the first time is equal to holding my child for the first time. A year later, in 2042, my daughter is expecting her second child. One day, when she is 7 months pregnant, I go to sleep and wake up. Wake up, wake up. Imagine my surprise when I'm in my 20s and it's 2019 again. I have never felt such loss before, realizing my family I had didn't exist. That's fucking crazy.
I knew that that was going to be where you were going with this, and I was so sad. I was so invested in his story. I'm like, oh, grandson, adorable.
Yeah.
Not real.
Not real. Not even a little bit real. Okay. Here's another one from someone who deleted their account. A while back, I had a dream that I can't stop thinking about because it felt like I had access to a different version of my own life. In it, I lived years of a relationship with someone I knew in my waking life. I woke up remembering more detail than I could possibly describe. I remembered how and where we met. I remembered how we started seeing each other. I remembered what we did on our earliest dates and the process of moving into an apartment together. Just before I woke up, we were sitting together in this old recliner we had bought secondhand. It was only a single seat, but big enough that we could sit on it together and cuddle, so that's what we did. We were sitting in that chair when I felt myself waking up. I became aware of my location and what was happening. He asked me what was wrong, and I told him that I wasn't supposed to be there. He looked so confused, so I just asked him to hold me without explaining anything more. As I woke up, it felt like I was being ripped into consciousness, and I lay there with the full memory of a life I had never lived. What got me is that it was so much more simple than my actual life, and in it, I was so, so happy. I cried more than I ever have cried on waking up from a nightmare.
I
So
am somebody
sad.
that has like really vivid dreams. So this is kind of a trip for me to hear about. But then on top of it, it's like whole lifetimes or like chunks of
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
That's
Okay,
so
there's
wild.
one more I want to read you. Kind of a longer one.
Okay.
Okay, it says, My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds, I was 120 pounds. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately, I had a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. When my daughter was 2, my wife had a son. My son was the joy of my life. I would walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning, I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about that lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon, I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the fucking lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me. By this time, my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not fucking real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, and all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain. A fucking shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk, surrounded by people that I didn't know. Lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up and dragged/walked me across the sidewalk and grass and threw me face down in the back of a cop car. I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for an ambulance to arrive, and given a CT scan. I went through about 3 years of horrid depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane as I would cry myself to sleep, hoping I would see her in my dreams.
Oh my
I never
God.
have, but sometimes I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He is perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says.
I am legitimately crying right now.
So this wasn't even like a night of sleep. This was like a 5-second blackout, and he lived 10 fucking years.
That's insane.
It's so
And like
crazy.
to feel a grief like that and a loss like that you can't tangibly control, which is usually loss and grief, but then to not have anyone validate it because it never happened is
Yeah.
even more heartbreaking. Like you're dealing with that all alone.
Yeah. So
Ugh.
all of this makes me wonder, was Lorena just remembering a dream in which she broke up with her boyfriend and met this new guy and had a slightly different job and her sister had shoulder surgery?
Huh.
Or even weirder, what if dreams are actually glitches? Science doesn't fully understand dreams at this point.
It's true.
Maybe when our bodies sleep, our souls keep living, just blinking into other existences, other universes. Maybe if we don't wake up from those dreams, in the cases of being in a coma or dying in your sleep, it could be because we're enjoying the other life better, and we don't want to leave that existence.
That's
But
wild.
then, how do we know which life is a dream and which life is reality? Or is there any reality? Are they all just dreams? Is this a dream?
We're just timeline jumping every time we go to sleep. Oh my God.
Are we dreaming right now?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh God.
This entire podcast could be a dream.
This entire podcast is real. Oh no. Don't say that. Oh my goodness.
What do you think? Is this real life?
I think that my eyes are watering right now, and it's not ghosty related. It's like spooky. What is our actual existence? Again, me and Sierra just read this amazing book that feels very serendipitous with this. Like,
Yes, it does.
she grieves Alex at one point, and people are like, it's just a random guy you met like once. Why are you so obsessed with
Yeah.
him? And it's like, I feel like these people's pains, and how can it happen to so many people and not be like a little bit true? And like you
Yeah.
said, science doesn't understand dreams. There's no tangible way to track it. Oh, that's wild.
It's
And then
so weird.
second that, I was also panicking. Like, what about people that are in a coma and never wake up and get taken off life
Yeah.
support? You're just ripping them away from this other world that they're living in. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm stressed.
So creepy.
I am
And these were
stressed.
just the like, I don't even want to say most interesting, but I chose these 3 Reddit stories. There were so many stories on r/glitches in the matrix of people
I
talking
love that
about
that's a subreddit. Of course
having
it is.
different lives. Yeah, of course it is. But yeah, that's fucking scary. I don't know how to feel about it. Lorena's story is the first ever parallel dimension story that made it to the internet. It's not, as far as anyone knows, it's not a creepypasta. It's not anything like that. It was literally this girl named Lorena who talked to reporters and stuff afterwards, who went on a forum and was like, I don't
About
know what
this
the fuck is wrong.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Um, and so I don't know how to explain what happened to her other than being in a parallel dimension. But then I saw these dream things, and I'm not saying that she was dreaming, but it feels like parallel dimensions and dreams are somehow related in some
I
instances.
buy it a little
So,
bit. But then
yeah,
also I don't want to, because I'm also somebody that has night terrors a lot.
yeah,
But then fucking Julia was having night terrors about real memories. So it's like it was presented as sleep paralysis, but it had like actually happened.
right.
So what? I like to hope that my alternate universes don't have as much fucked up shit happening as I dream about, but who's to say?
Yeah, who is to say? I had a nightmare about zombies one time, so that's a little scary.
And well, in a parallel universe, absolutely there's a zombie apocalypse happening. Don't doubt it at all. I mean, look at movies about like viruses, and then we dealt with COVID, movies about zombies. At some point that's
Yeah,
just gonna be a thing. We gotta practice our combat and survival skills at all times, guys. We never know what's gonna happen out there.
yeah. I saw a um TikTok about someone who thinks that we've all time jumped again, like our this timeline right here has glitched again.
Yeah.
And that in an alternate universe, Donald Trump did die in the attempted assassination, and we jumped to the version, like that was the one we were going on, and we jumped to the version where he's still alive. And so, like,
Ugh,
now what the fuck is going to happen in this world?
that's
You
a
know?
bummer. Um, no one should be murdered. We stand by that on this podcast. But there's so many conspiracy theories about that being like a publicity stunt and
I
like
honestly don't,
planned.
unless the blood is fake. There's no fucking way that that was a publicity stunt. Would you ever let someone point a gun at your head? Would
No.
you trust them to hit your ear instead of your forehead? Fuck no. But it could be fake blood. Who fucking knows? No one
Yeah,
knows. We're not going to discuss it. I just thought it was
it's
cool that
weird.
now they're pointing out differences in this timeline and that one. I think one of them was like the Walgreens symbol has changed or something. I don't really know, but they were like, tell me all the differences you see, because I swear since that day we've jumped again. So
It's gonna be like a whole bunch more millennial gaslighting happening up in here.
yep,
The cornucopia
it's
all over
exactly
again.
Yep, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
That's wild. I mean, I kind of believe that considering that happening, I didn't even know it happened until I saw it on Instagram. I was like, oh, huh. And
Yeah.
this was like days later. I'm like, that seems like bigger news, but apparently I don't follow Donald Trump, obviously.
No, it's not even bigger news here. It
No,
seems no one cares. It's strange. It's so weird to
checks out.
live in this world.
Whatever timeline you're living in, let us know your thoughts and theories as per usual, because this was crazy and it allowed us to go in two different directions for our episodes. So that's lots of fun. Thank you for voting on this special topic. And thank you, Ken, for the suggestion to begin with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know how to move forward with my day after this. I'm questioning everything, but do you have something in your day that you're looking forward to or coming up? Yeah. You know, you have a little boating event with Bubba today. That'll be fun.
Oh yeah, he had to make like a little plastic boat that he has to race on like a gutter, basically.
Cute.
It's
Kind
called
of
a
like when
rain
they did
gutter
the little
regatta.
cars.
Yeah,
Oh,
except with a little sailboat. So that'll be fun.
that is fun. Did he
Yeah,
decorate it this time?
he did a little bit. Yeah, he made it red. There's a pirate ship, like quote unquote pirate ship cruise down in Panama City called the Sea Dragon Pirate Ship Cruise.
Ooh,
And he did that a couple weeks ago. And um now he's like, I'm gonna call my boat the Sea Dragon. And I'm like, that's pretty good.
it's a good name.
Pretty good. Make
Yep,
yourself a little pirate ship.
that's adorable.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm excited for an all day country concert. It is the last year that they're doing Gone Country, which feels weird
That is weird.
because we've been going for 10 years. Like,
Why
it's just
is
weird to think
why
that
is it the
that big
last
of a
year?
chunk of my life has been doing this every summer. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're just ready to like hang their hats on that event and maybe try like a new venture. I'm not really sure. I'll
I
find
wonder
out
if it's
today.
actually the last year or
Or
if
if
they're
it's like a
saying that
publicity
because,
stunt.
yeah, because, people don't have a lot of money this time. They're like, you better come to the last one ever to sell more tickets. But maybe that's just an American thing to think.
I mean, they
You're not
definitely
in
do that
America,
in
so
marketing for sure, but
yeah.
it, they sell out every year. Like they never have to worry about that part. But the tickets were the most expensive they've ever been this year. So
Jeez.
they jumped like $70 a ticket from last
Yeah.
year, which is just nuts. And then on top of that, your only options to eat and drink are in there once you're in there. You can't leave and come back, which makes
Hmm.
sense. And all of the proceeds do go to Cancer Society, so that's nice. But man, it's expensive to like eat two meals there, and the drinks are last year the drinks were $10 each. I don't know how much they're going to be this year.
Jesus.
And that's for like a White Claw or like a
Yeah.
beer, not
Is
like
water free?
yes, last year was the
Oh,
first
that's
year
good.
that they had free water for that reason because people are
Yeah.
going to be like, I could like you can buy water from the food trucks and stuff while you're there, but there are people that walk around with water bottles and hand out water bottles.
That's
So
good.
we've done too many rabbit holes with this round of special topics. And
Yep.
speaking of rabbit holes, we've got a serial killer coming up for you guys next week.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you guys listening. Go leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And if you're craving some more twisted content, we've got lots of fun stuff over on Patreon. And we will see you next week for that horrifying serial killer episode. And in the meantime, keep it twisted. Twisted and Uncorked is a proud member of Weirding Way Media. Hosted and produced by Sierra Zorn and Alicia Watson. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can check out all things Twisted on our website, twistedanduncorked.com, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode.